It is your November mortgage update, mortgage and real estate. Okay, so what's happening in November? Oh my gosh, Zillow. Have you guys been watching the news or TikToks or Instagrams of realtors dancing on Zillow's graves? Look, Zillow is not a reflection of the housing market. I do not think you should see that as a sign the housing market is going to decrease. If you start digging into some of the stuff going on with Zillow, you will see there's more to that story. So I'm going to just start there and say that because I know a lot of people are like, Jen, Zillow, does that mean we're going to get discounts? And it's like, no. Sadly, no. That's a totally different thing that's happening over there. Okay. So rates are still good. You know, no big drama there. The Fed said they're going to stop buying as many bonds. They're going to ease off of quantitative easing, which is softening, you know, the economic blow. But overall, rates are still really good. It's still a good time to be shopping and a good time to be refinancing. So that's great. Housing market overall, you know, it's not as competitive as it was in, let's say, March or April. Very similar to my past updates in the last 2 months on the housing market. The one thing that I do want you guys to keep in mind, because I do see this repetitively, certain markets are never going to cool. They're not. You know, people are always going to want to live on the beach in Hawaii. They're always going to want to go to these tourist destinations. You know, Santa Fe, for example, it's going up. I don't expect it to go down. When you guys are looking at housing and you're trying to determine what's going to happen with the market, you have to determine why people buy there. So if it's a strong tourist destination, you know, if it's because of jobs, if it's an area where all the jobs just left, I mean, you'll definitely get a discount then, especially if it's not a tourist area. But you want to be familiar with the market that you're looking in and understanding what makes people live there. So for instance, I'm in Sonoma County. People visit here because they love wine. People work here because of the wine industry and some tech industries as well as some food. But really, this is wine land. The reason why I think housing prices in Sonoma County are going to continue to go up is because it's a huge tourist draw. Okay, so be familiar with your market. Okay, now the other thing that's incredibly important to know this month, especially if you're refinancing, and this does affect buyers as well, but I'm really seeing it on the refinance front. You need to pay attention to your loan estimates. If a lender says, hey, I'm gonna give you XYZ, or you say, hey, I want this rate, and they go, no problem, you need to see how much you're being charged for that rate. And if you're like, well, they said no out of pocket, that does not mean no cost. Generally what happens with a refinance, no one ever wants to bring in money. So we generally increase the loan amount to cover the fees so that they're not bringing money out of pocket, okay? Now what I'm seeing right now is I'm seeing people go, well, I'm not bringing money out of pocket, and I look at the loan estimate and I'm like, you're paying $20,000 to lower the rate 0.25%. This doesn't make sense. And they're like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, you're paying like 2 points. You're paying this fat lender fee. Like, did they go over the math with you? And they're like, no. And that's the thing. So right now what's happening in the industry, in the mortgage industry, is there's a huge shift. So call centers, basically any mortgage lender for the last 2 years could make money without trying. And the reason is because of the big refinance boom. Well, that's gone. So there's all these people in the business now that don't really know how to do purchase business, haven't established their own business, and they're all trying to figure out how they're going to survive. And, you know, it may not make sense for you to refinance. I probably tell 4 people a day they should not, but in their world, they need you to refinance. They can't make the choice for you to do what's right for you because they need a paycheck. So you need to be really careful right now because it is like blood in the water with sharks, and you do not want to be a piece of chum. So really read the loan estimates. When you're talking to lenders, because I see this with rate shoppers a lot, and it's one of my frustrations, they'll go, what's your rate? And I'll be like, nice to meet you. And then they'll be like, well, so-and-so is giving me XYZ. And I'm like, okay, that's a really good rate. Are they charging you any points? What's a point? Okay, well, a point is something a lender charges you to get a lower rate. 1 point would be 1% of the loan amount. So if the loan amount's $400,000, 1 point is $4,000. So I always do the math whenever we're talking about points to see if it works, but That is not normal in this industry. It's not uncommon in this industry for you to call a lender, say you want a rate, for them to lock it, send you the paperwork. That's it. They're not going to talk to you about if it makes sense or anything else. And we're going to be doing more videos on that because I do think it's very important. But the key is right now, like, I am seeing some really stupid stuff where I'm like, this doesn't mathematically make sense even over a 30-year term. And the buyer's like, well, he told me I had to take out a couple $1,000s in cash to make it make sense. Oh, gee, I wonder why, right? There's a lot of... I don't want to say sneaky, but that is what it is. There's a lot of dicey stuff going on right now. You don't want to be taken advantage of. So really, eyes wide open. I think the next 6 months it's going to be like this. I think we're going to see people doing this with refis. I think we're going to see people who've never done a purchase suddenly saying they're purchase experts. We're going to see a lot of people getting into VA who have no idea what they're doing. It's just going to be a free-for-all. I would say 6 to 8 months, it should shake itself out, but we are at that segment of the market where everyone who has feasted is now hitting famine. So buyer beware. Overall though, you know, if you guys have questions, comments, if you want us to look at a loan estimate, if you're like, I just want a second pair of eyes, we're always happy to tell you. If it's a good deal, I will say, oh my gosh, that's a great deal, because I want lenders in this industry that take care of people. If we look at it and it's terrible, we'll tell you it's terrible. And I'll probably do a video about it. Nah, that would be too many videos, really. But look, we're always here for you. I'm licensed in 48 states. Anytime you guys have questions or need help, please reach out. Thanks for watching.